like it. Because really, ultimately, people's approval is not what drives God's approval does. Ultimately, I'm not saying what you guys think me doesn't matter, but it sure doesn't matter compared to what God says. And so, even if everybody hated me, but God approved, well, I consider I did what was right. So I want to be faithful to God, say what God requires, and I don't believe in these churches that water down what's true just to get more butts in the seat.
How can you be sure God approves of your message? Every person who comes on this campus has a message that's just a little different than the one from before. Every single one says stuff like, "Oh, he's not a real Christian," or "That church isn't real." They're not real Christians. That's the easy way. Someone says something, disagree with someone, says something horrible in the name of God. You can just write them off and say they're not a real Christian. So how can you, under what authority would you say that you are correct? We already discussed metaphor and
No. If anyone shows me where in the Bible,
Brother Tom.
If anyone shows me where in the Bible I'm saying is not right, I'd be glad to reconsider.
Brother Tom.
But so that's the first point. This is our authority. Okay?
But that authority is solely, it's specifically tied to perspective on it. I mean, yes, there's things like the Ten Commandments, very clear cut. But then you have, the Bible is not pro-women. I mean, realistically.
Yes, it is. Now take that from a guy who's standing here saying he can have sex without marrying you. What's the most pro-woman thing you can say? Guys, no sex unless you commit to her. I bet you the women on this campus would appreciate hearing that.
They appreciate an education more.
I got a feeling that the women on this campus would like it if you guys didn't put so much pressure on them to say, if you really love me, you got to sleep with me. I bet they'd appreciate a guy who says, you know what, I'm willing to date you. And if we're not ready to get married yet, I'll wait until, I'll just love you. We can talk.
Sex isn't a
You know,
stipulation, though.
see, what's your name again?
David.
See, girls like to do things like talk. Guys like to get the pants unzipped. You know, girls like to talk.
We're speaking of generalizations, you know.
Well, I know females. Don't you like to talk? You know, I was at North Carolina State University. It was about 5 years ago. And there was a Catholic girl there. And she was actually sleeping with her boyfriend. Not at the moment, but you know, each day. And
I'm a believer myself.
She justified that God understood, because back when the Bible was written, we got married at age 15. And she said, now we don't get married so early, so God understands that we have sex even though we're not married. And I said, no, the Bible never says that. The Bible says you must be married. The Bible says that there must be a commitment. And all sex outside of that is a sin. Well, to make the story, I told a few more, but to make the story quick, I'll just leave it at that.
Doesn't teach eternal torment.
And she listened to me.
He's like, yes, it does. And I
Now,
pointed out like 600
I left
scriptures to him.
campus.
That was it. That was that.
That was in the
He changed the
fall. I
subject.
came back in
That's
the
why when I'm
spring.
calling all his name right now.
So several months later, I came back.
Because he knows
And
I'm
she
gonna
was
mess him up
standing
when I
right
get
there
started.
waiting for me.
Josh,
I got
don't waste your
started.
time.
And,
Oh,
you know,
come on,
as soon as
this
I
is
began to
entertainment.
take some questions interaction,
It's entertainment.
she pointed out to me that that was her. And then I remembered this discussion from
That's
several months earlier.
funny, it wasn't my
I
recollection
remembered her.
about the
And I said,
exchange
how
yesterday.
you doing? She said, I'm doing really well.
Are
I
you
said, well,
with
good.
this kid?
And she said, I got some
Am I
good
with
news.
him? What do you mean by with him?
Like,
And I said,
oh,
what's
you just
that?
like recorded?
He's my friend.
She
Oh, yeah.
said, she stood up proudly.
Is that what
She
you
said,
meant?
My boyfriend
Yeah.
and I
And we're not like
aren't having
gay
sex
or
anymore.
anything.
We've decided to wait until we get
Care
married.
if you are.
And I almost thought she was kidding.
we're
I
we
always
don't
thought
do
she
that
was,
kind of
you know,
thing.
like going to try and
I don't think
trick
that
me
was
into
the question.
something. But I
I
said,
think
really?
you're with
She said,
him.
yes.
Could be
We
interpreted different
decided,
ways.
thought about what you
Should
said,
we wear
we
an office
decided
shirt
we're going to wait till we get married. I said, that's wonderful, congratulations.
credit,
She had a
that
big
takes
grin on her
balls.
face. And I said to her, I said, were you glad you did? You glad you made this decision? She said, oh yeah, I'm very glad. I said, well, why? How's this decision benefited you? She said, well, now we talk to one another. I said, what? She said, yeah, there used to be so much pressure to have sex all the time. But now we talk to one another. We're getting to know one another.
That's an outrageous generalization.
No, I'm just
I've had
telling you a
sex
story.
and gotten to know
I'm just telling you a story. And but I'll bet you had I talked to her that first day and say, did you talk to him? Oh yeah, we talked to one another. But once they cut out all the pressure to have sex all the time, she said, we talk to one another. We're getting to know one another. I asked her this.
Your assumption is immediate sex, though.
I asked her this.
For 2 years and then have sex, and that's still not justified.
I asked her this. I said, has it been difficult or hard to do this? She said, well, it actually has been easier than I thought it would be. I thought it would be really hard to cut sex out of her life. It's been a lot easier than I expected. See, she'd probably been gone to some psychology class and said, you have to have sex just like you have food and water. She'd been misled by this. She said, it's easier than I thought it would be. And I said, what's your boyfriend think? He said, well, it's harder on him than it is on me. But he's okay with it. He respects me. He said, well, we'll go ahead and do this. So he waits on it. So, some of you guys ought to try it. I mean, you know what the Bible teaches? You ought to at least try it. I mean, it has like worked for 2,000 years.
Tom,
You know? Yeah.
you said before that the Bible is your authority, right, for everything.
Right.
Weren't you speaking against welfare enthusiasts before? Because there's over 3,000 passages in Scripture that tell commandments to help the poor. So you can't really be biblical in any light.
You can't be a capitalist and a Christian.
Yeah, basically.
Basically.
How do you reconcile those 3,000 scriptures?
You know,
Jesus was a man of the poor.
there are many scriptures in the Bible that say that we should have compassion on those less fortunate. We should have justice, care for the poor, etc. And I would say any good Christian doesn't just close their heart towards people who are poor. But the Bible, but here's the problem. How do you address questions of the poor? I'm going to go back to NC State University, where I was earlier. I can tell another little story, and then I'll answer your question more specifically. So I was preaching at North Carolina State University, and there was this professor out there. Believe it or not, this professor was actually a liberal Democrat. I know they're very rare. There's hardly any who are like that. But this one was actually a liberal Democrat. And we were talking about pro-life issues. And he said, just a minute.
He's going to get you, Tom.
He loves me. Anyway, go away. Anyway, he said, so we were talking about pro-life, no abortion. And he said to me, he said, yeah, I'll bet you're one of those conservative right-wingers who wants to make a woman have a baby and then could care less about helping her once it's born.
How would he have guessed that?
I know. I mean, because he was one of those very rare professors who are liberal Democrats, you know. I know they're hard to find, but here was one of them. And
You must not have spoken to many science professors.
you mean there's other liberal Democrats?
Every person in the engineering building.
Oh, you mean every professor's like that?
I'd say majority.
That's a broad generalization, but you know, you might be right there. You might be
Are we
right.
agreeing on my generalization, or are we not?
You might be right.
I think I am.
I was using a little sarcasm earlier.
I didn't catch it.
Okay.
I knew where you were going.
All right. So you're right. Most all of them are liberal ideologues. Anyway, so you're probably one of those right-wing Christians. You want to make a woman have a baby, but you're not going to help her after the baby's born. And I said, wait a minute. Just because I don't agree with the same policies you promote, let's not demonize one another. I mean, it's possible that you care about poor people, but you can disagree about the best way to help them. For instance, I said, my guess is you believe government programs are the best way to help them. I believe charity, individual charity, is the best way to help them. And then I said, and for instance, I'm going to guess that I give more money to charity each year than you do. All right, now, I'm a campus preacher. I'm a nonprofit organization. I've got to raise my own financial support.
You don't get taxed.
He is a university professor. All right, and you know what he answered when I said to him, I'm going to guess that I give more money to charity than you did last year? His words were, well, with the effing salaries they pay us here, you probably do. And I thought, he didn't even challenge me. He didn't even ask how much. He didn't even, I mean, he just kind of gave it to me that I get more than he does. My guess is he's like Al Gore and Clinton would be like, just don't give any. They only take taxes, let the government do it, but they don't give in a personal way.
Hold on, man. Hold on, man.
So,
No, you go ahead.
oh, excuse me, Al Gore gave $200. I'm sorry.
I'm not talking about Al Gore. I'm talking
Okay,
about
well, he was like, the
Clintons are awful.
social justice warrior.
The Clintons are god awful. Like, let's be real.
All right.
They do donate to charity though. It's a
But
slush fund.
where do they donate? The Clinton Foundation.
I mean, AIDS research in Africa.
They give to their own nonprofit, so they don't pay taxes, and they live off that.
Okay, so back to their own Bible stories. It's not about how much you donate, it's about the meaning behind it.
There you go. So
You
So-
can donate
so
more
in
than
other
some
words,
professor, but if
you know,
do it because you
in
think
other words, I don't have any money, but here's my credit card. So
Everybody
I'm
get
going to
it.
take my
How the hell
credit
do you have a
card,
credit card if you don't
and
have
I'm
it?
going to give it from here, my right hand. Oh, look how generous it was. I gave the whole thing. You know?
Tom.
Come on, be serious. Anyway, not on politics. So here's the thing. Modern day socialism and government programs in America, we think the way to be. Well, here's a good definition of a liberal. You ready? A liberal is someone who feels a tremendous debt to mankind. And they propose to pay that debt with your money. All right? That's what a liberal is. They say, oh, we got to help the poor, so here, I want your money so I can help them. I'm really going to be nice to these poor people, so give me your money so I can do it. But that's not what Jesus talked about. Jesus never